Hello, CISD kindergarten parents. My name is Dina Dinas. I am the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning in the Coppell Independent School District, and it is my privilege to speak to you a little bit today about how we're going to handle kindergarten gifted and talented assessment during this very unusual school year. First of all, I want to assure you that we remain grounded in the guidelines that are outlined for us in the Texas State Plan for the Education of Gifted and Talented Students. One of the things that that document does require us to do is to consider all kindergartners for gifted and talented services. This year, we have a challenge in the sense that equity is a concern, as we cannot, under the new guidelines provided by the state, require in-person testing utilizing some of the standardized assessments we've used in the past. Um, and therefore, we need to consider what data sources we have that will work for the learners that are in the remote learning environment as well as our face-to-face environments. When we set about identifying a learner for GT services, we need to have at least 3 measures as part of that identification process, and they must be a mix of quantitative and qualitative measures. For the 2021 school year, we have determined that because the district is already utilizing multiple digital assessment tools and collecting multiple data sources on learners, we will use that information as part of our identification process this school year, and those will serve as our quantitative measures. For qualitative measures, we do have a variety of standardized teacher rating scales that will be used to collect the qualitative data for identification. Classroom educators are spending these early months getting to know your learners, and then they will complete those scales by mid-January. They've been trained in how to fill out those scales and what they need to be looking for by our campus GTI specialists. And if additional qualitative data is necessary, a GT specialist may conduct an interview if that is determined to be needed. Our standard practice this year and all others is to take the assessment information that's been gathered, both as quantitative and qualitative data points, to a campus gifted and talented committee. The members of those committees on each campus have completed their 30 hours of GT training as required by the state and get their 6-hour annual update, so they are knowledgeable in the identification of gifted and talented learners. Based on the data that is presented to them, they will determine whether a learner demonstrates a need for the service that GT educators provide. Sometimes when the data goes to the GTC, the Gifted and Talented Committee, they look at it and can't make a determination, and therefore they request some additional data. If that is the case for your learner, then you will be notified on an individual basis that we are collecting additional information, and that can include a number of data points, including some standardized assessments that we could administer in the school setting. We would have to look at what is available to us if your learner continues to be remote during that time. All notifications for kindergarten learners, whether a learner is qualifying for GT services or has been identified as not needing those services at this time, will occur before March 1st, 2021. And learners who are identified as needing our service will receive a permission to serve form. Once that form has been signed by moms, dads, parents, or guardians, then we will begin those services once we have received that form back. One of the great things about the service model for GT in the Coppell Independent School District is that it is based on a learner's needs, and that we will serve more than just our GT identified learners. We provide academic extension through classroom instruction on a daily basis because our GT specialists at each campus plan with classroom educators. So there's already built-in differentiation. If a learner demonstrates mastery, then they may receive an extension currently through Schoology if they are at home or in a face-to-face setting. In a more traditional learning environment, they might receive push-in or pull-out support where the GT specialist pushes in and teaches a small group or pulls learners out for even more specialized instruction. All of that is based on unique learners' needs. And again, I want to say you don't have to be identified GT in order to receive that service, but the frequency and under which you might receive that service is based on your identification. In the future, hopefully in less challenging school years, the identification process for GT assessment in the Coppell Independent School District is ongoing. Anytime a need arises, if an educator or a counselor says there's something happening with this learner, we will continue to assess and look for identification. And then every year we update and communicate our assessment practices. So each year you'll know how we're going to go about serving and identifying GT learners in the school district. I know this is a lot of information, and we certainly want you to have the opportunity to process that. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm Dr. Dina Dinas, and my email is ddinas@coppellisd.com. Thank you.